It's Jade, and I am here in our headquarters in downtown St. Paul. And I'm very excited to not just be talking to somebody, but actually seeing people, as I don't get to do that too frequently. And the two faces that I'm seeing right now are Michael Stipe of R.E.M. and Aaron Dessner of Big Red Machine and the National. Hello, hi, how are you guys?
Very well. Thanks for having us.
So happy to have you, and so happy that you guys are making some music together. The song No Time for Love Like Now is absolutely beautiful, and I've been enjoying listening to it. And I saw that the merch proceeds are going to be donated to the Equal Justice Initiative and the COVID-19 Protest Fund. So thank you for doing that as well. And Aaron, I kind of wanted to start with you. You know, they say don't meet your heroes, uh, but how did that go for you?
Well, it went pretty well. As heroes go, Michael couldn't be nicer and more lovely. But we met along. We actually met probably 15 years ago. And then the National toured with R.E.M. So we've known each other for a while, and only made music together more recently. But I don't know. I try not to think about it too much. It's surreal, but I'm also thankful. Also, just to realize that people you look up to turn out to be every bit as talented and charming, and kind of it's nice when that happens. So, but this has been a real. I'm just grateful for the opportunity, and it's nice in with what the world is going through to have music and be able to make stuff with friends and stuff you're inspired by and people you're inspired by, and for a good cause, hopefully. And yeah, so just grateful.
Yeah, yeah, music as a coping mechanism. That's what it's been for me a lot lately. I was kind of curious about how this all came together because this all happened pre-COVID, right? The project itself.
Yes, it did. It was at the Metropolitan, Aaron. Is that right?
Yeah, we Michael came to an opening. Ragnar Kjartansson, the Icelandic artist, made this film, a 7-screen installation that featured my brother and I and these other twin girls, Christine Anna and Gita Baltisdottir from the band Mum. We had done it for Eau Claire, the festival. It was originated there. It was called Forever Love, but then Ragnar took one of the songs and made a film of it called Death is Elsewhere, where it's just my brother and I and Gita and Kristinana paired together, moving in a circle in an old lava field in Iceland, singing the song to each other. And it's really beautiful. And it premiered at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and we invited Michael, and he came. And then we just reconnected more recently. And I mentioned that Justin and I were working on a lot of Big Red Machine music, and kind of tried my luck and asked if I could send Michael some music, and he graciously said sure, and that's kind of how the seed was planted, I guess.
So did you do this? I know with a lot of Big Red Machine stuff or some of Justin's stuff that he's been working on, it's been a lot of send something out and then somebody sends something back to you. But were you guys able to actually get into a room together and make music together, or was it very much sending things back and forth?
We were sending things back and forth, but that's, for me, historically, that's a very typical way to work, going back to the early 80s. Because my contribution is often very solitary, and the place that I have to go to in order to, whatever, do my best work, I can't really do with other people around. So I go into this, little whirlwind of a thought activity. I don't know what to call it. And what emerges is sometimes great and sometimes not great. But I think with this song, I'm actually, proud to say I think it's a really stunningly beautiful piece, and I'm so thrilled to work with Aaron.
There is a quote that I keep thinking about when I'm thinking about the music people are releasing now, but that they maybe worked on, a while ago. But Nick Cave in this documentary said that sometimes when he writes songs, he feels really like superstitious about it almost, because suddenly it feels like those lyrics are almost coming true. Do you have a tendency, Michael, to feel like some of the things you write are prescient? Because this song feels very much in the moment.
It is. We finished it in November before the time of COVID, and the lyrics are actually still, to me, a little chilling. In just in terms of how much they reference what the whole world is going through. I started writing the song, the chorus came out first, and then I had to flesh it out. And that was, that happened in October. So I had the chorus, I think, and I think I had sent that to you, Aaron. And then my great friend John Giorno passed away, died, and that for me, that kind of riveted the place where the song took place, and a big part of what it was referencing. And so I kind of wrote John into it, and the song was finished. And then COVID hit, and then suddenly the lyric had a completely different meaning. And then George, then everything that happened in America, out of your city, and the necessary changes that come with that. It all feels like I was looking into some glass ball into the future with the lyric, and so it's a little freaky. It's not creepy because it's happened before, and I never get used to it, but it's a little weird. It's a little odd, but I like it that for me, music and art at their finest help us through the moment that we're moving through, and perhaps help us to see a little bit of what the future might provide. And this song feels like it's doing that in a really sweet way.
Yeah, it's there's melancholy to it, but there's hope to it, which I think a lot of people need right now. And I'm glad that you brought up kind of, where the world is, because it is something that I think a lot about. I'm sure you do as well when you're talking to your friends and your musician friends. What is the music scene going to look like? What is the music world going to look like? And I'm so grateful that all these independent venues are banding together. And Aaron, it just seems like this collective idea that you and Justin, everybody who's kind of part of the Big Red Machine and people in Eau Claire Fest, that almost feels like the future to me as well. This collective idea of musicians coming together and collaborating with each other, and kind of lifting each other up. And I don't know, but how do you see it?
I definitely feel that. Right now there's hopefully seismic shifts in our society occurring out of extreme sadness and frustration and kind of centuries of oppression. Finally, it seems like maybe that there's, the dam is broken and there's actually real change coming. And obviously Minneapolis, sadly with George Floyd's murder, but I think, there's a lot of leadership coming out of Minneapolis and a lot of important dialogue, I think. So I'm just trying to listen a lot and learn. We're all a product of the society that we have grown up in, and I'm spending a lot of time thinking about like my privilege and kind of all the things I've done and worked really hard to do, but at the same time probably benefited from, a lot of things that fell in my, luck and sort of like systemic privilege or something. So things like community-oriented projects and more socialized ways of thinking about everything are really important right now. I'm trying to redistribute just how everything works in the music industry, whether that's venues and promoters or the way music gets released, and how can people survive making art, and how can more voices be heard that aren't being heard enough. So that's kind of, we have tried with Big Red Machine, but more with Eau Claire and people. We've been experimenting with trying to raise people up and give people voices and use this platform. Justin is a great example of someone who's had tremendous success that he never really kind of just happened, because he's from the beginning of Bon Iver, that first record just exploded, and then it's kind of been like sometimes an awkward thing for him because he's very much like a team player and very much never really wanted to be that kind of star. So he's often thinking about like, how do I reinvest in the community or like give other people opportunities. And the Big Red Machine was kind of born out of that, like let's create a band that's not a band, and it's a way to collaborate with people you love, whether that's people you look up to or people you don't, you've never met, or or passing the microphone around. And so it's still in its infancy, but this feels like it can really accommodate a lot of ideas, I think.
Yeah, it's been something that I've appreciated, especially with, bringing voices like Swamp Dogg back to everyone's attention as well. It's been lovely. And I think that is something about growing up as well. When you start out and you're a young musician, you think just by saying these words, writing these beautiful, the sound that you're creating and the lyrics that you're writing down, that's going to change the world. And I think when you get a little bit older, or maybe this is just me, but you start to think about, okay, how can I actually create change, and how can I actually use my platform, to do something tangible? And it feels like, especially Michael, how specific you've been with the songs that you do release, because I feel like, and this is presumptuous of me, but that you're probably constantly creating, and to choose the specific moments that you release music out to the world, it feels like you're choosing to be very intentional about it now.
You're talking about the more recent stuff that I'm putting out as a
Yeah,
song.
and that it's been towards different causes.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was very, very lucky, and perhaps privilege is a part of it, what Aaron was speaking of earlier, a big part of it. I was very lucky within the industry of music, and then that industry changed changed very dramatically, right about the time I got out. and then I really realized how much I love the medium of music, and how much I'm able to very naturally kind of participate in that and be a part of it. And so I immerse myself back into it. Well, then comes the question, how do I release this stuff, and what do I do with it once I don't have the apparatus that was once around this very giant thing called R.E.M. is no longer, I don't have a manager, I don't have a PR person, I don't have a record company, I don't have a contract. All the physical ways of distribution have been radically altered by digital technology. What do I do? And the obvious answer was to put the music out and try to draw attention to my other great passion outside of music and art, which is activism, and to support these organizations or groups of people that are doing stuff that I really admire. And in many ways, I'm a bit of a one-trick pony. I mean, I was actually reading earlier today. I'm going through a bunch of archives in my storage unit, which goes very deep. And I was reading an article that I did about, it was specifically about toxic waste, nuclear waste in 1989 in New Zealand. It was and I was like, wow, like I actually had studied this and knew all this stuff, and I've long since forgotten it, but this is something that goes way back. And so with these songs, I really, to wrap it up, I'm sorry, I tend to ramble. But with these songs, I wanted to release them and do so in a way that shined a light on these organizations and these people that are doing really great work. And I can continue to be creative and be an artist and make music and release music, but allow that to become, for some people perhaps, an entrance way into this work that's being done by these great organizations.
And I don't want to keep you guys for too much longer, because I love talking about this and could just ramble on myself for way too long. But I'm curious if there is a particular artist or a song or an album that you've been turning to a lot more recently, just for your own comfort, or just because it's something maybe that you just discovered that you could share with the listeners.
I've been listening to classical music a lot. I tend to not listen to pop music at all, although I love pop music, but I find it overwhelming to the rest of my life. And so I tend to ignore it. Although recently Arca released a new album, which I didn't like the last record that Arca put out, but this one is pretty astonishing. And it's pure like Euro pop. It's really kind of incredible Euro pop. So if anyone's looking for something new to listen to, Arca.
Nice. What about you, Aaron?
Well, I've been like, the truth is, I've been making so much music. It's kind of hard. I don't have much time to listen to other music, but I kind of, it was a real, yeah, I mean, the record that Dylan just put out, I have listened to it a lot. And then I go back and I listen, these days I listen to Nina Simone a lot, or Emahoy Segmariam, the Ethiopian nun who, he's her piano playing. If you don't know it, she's just search Emahoy. She's the most amazing, yeah, just a huge influence on me the last many years. So kind of still in that mode.
Yeah.
Do you know there was a beautiful documentary that came out 5 years ago called "What Happened, Miss Simone,"
Yes.
a feature documentary. My friend Jason was producer on that film. It's an astonishing movie, so I could strongly recommend. And obviously there's a lot of great music in it, but I could strongly recommend "What Happened, Miss Simone" to anyone listening.
I think we could all listen to more of that right about now. In fact, I probably will end up playing that out of your beautiful song, which I just want to say thank you again. And there's a particular line in it that jumps out at me, and I'm talking about "No Time for Love Like Now," the new song from Michael Stipe and Big Red Machine. And it's I'm waiting for you, whatever waiting means in this new place. And for some reason, that really just struck me because I do feel like I'm constantly in a holding period, and I think that's part of the tension that we're feeling not only in Minnesota but all across the world. Is this kind of waiting period, and so I don't really have a question for that. I just think it's a really beautiful line, and I think it speaks to where we're at right now. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about music is how much it changes from when you write it to when we start playing it, and how it affects the people who hear it and how they interpret it. So thank you for creating beautiful music for us to enjoy and and cope with. So thank you both for stopping and I guess taking some time out of your day to chat with us here. Aaron and Michael, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Jade.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the song, we're going to listen to it right now. "No Time for Love Like Now," Michael Stipe and Big Red Machine. And again, proceeds are going to be donated to the Equal Justice Initiative and the COVID-19 Protest Fund. Check it out. It's on The Current.